Welcome to Little John's Yarns. Today I'm going to teach you how to crochet this halter top, ranging from cup A all the way up into a D. If that's you, make sure you click that subscribe button. Also, if you feel like this video is moving too fast, look to the lower right hand of your screen and click the little gear button so you can adjust the speed to your liking. Alright, we'll hop right into the video. We're using Caron Simply Soft yarn and a 4mm crochet hook. Please feel free to use cotton yarn. I just used the yarn that I have in my yarn stash. Alright, we'll hop into the rest of the video. Okay, we'll begin by making a slip knot. We are going to chain 16. 1, 2, 3. You can pause the video here and I'll meet you at the end of your 16 chains. We've completed our 16 stitches. And now we're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2. Begin your single crochet. We're going to continue placing single crochets in each one of your chain stitches. You can pause your video here and continue placing single crochets until you make it to the very last chain stitch. I'll meet you there. Okay, we both made it back to the very last chain stitch. Now let's put 3 single crochets into this very last chain stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, in your middle single crochet, we are going to place a marker. And I just used a random piece of waste yarn. This will be considered our very top stitch. So we'll need to know this marking for the very next row. Now we're going to work down the bottom side of your chain. We're going to put single crochets alongside the bottom. It'll be a total of 14 single crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you can pause your video here. Continue placing single crochets all the way down to the very end. I'll meet you there. Okay, we've made it back to the other end. And now we are going to chain 1 for your next row. Turn your work. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to half double crochet in the same space and half double crochet into the next. We're going to continue placing half double crochets all the way up the side of your work until you make it to your stitch marker. So pause your video here and place 1 half double crochet in each stitch until you make it to the stitch marker. I'll meet you there. Okay, we've made it to the stitch marker, so let's remove this. And in that space, we're going to place 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3 half double crochets, and just like before, in your second stitch, half double crochet, we're going to place a stitch marker, and this will be the new top of your cup. Okay, now we're going to continue placing half double crochets to the next stitch, and we're going to place 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way to the bottom. Okay, you can pause your video here. Continue placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch until you make it to the very bottom of your row. Okay, we've made it to the last stitch, and I want to show you this one because the last stitch is very easy to forget. So make sure you look very closely, turn your work over so you can see. Let me zoom in for you. So you can see that extra V. Don't forget that stitch. So we'll put a half double crochet there. And that completes your row. Alright, we're going to repeat this sequence for an additional 13 rows. we'll chain one, turn, and place one half double crochet in each stitch until you make it to the top marker, and we'll place 3 half double crochets in that stitch and place 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And I'll meet you at the completion of your rows. To find your perfect size, just place the cup against yourself. This pattern is written for a size D. If you're smaller, reduce your rows. If you're larger, add additional rows until it fits. Okay, we completed our additional 12 rows, and this is what your cup looks like so far. If you'd like it bigger or smaller, reduce the amount of rows or add more rows for a bigger size. Next, we're going to connect our 2 cups together. Let me zoom out. 2 cups together like so. We're going to combine the first 9 stitches. To do that, insert your hook back into your yarn. I never fastened off. So this first on a hook is considered the first stitch, and go into the very first stitch of your second cup and slip stitch. That's considered your very first stitch. Now go into the second one, front, back, slip stitch, 2, front, back, slip stitch, 3, front, back, slip stitch, 4, front, back, slip stitch, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. After that, you can go higher if you want less of your cleavage showing, or if you don't even have to put this middle part here if you want more of your cleavage showing. So just fasten off your work, and we'll move on to the very next step. Next, we're going to make this little sunburst granny square. I'll be using 3 colors, of course. We'll start with a slip knot. Oops, sorry, let me move my yarn out the way. And we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to slip stitch into the very first chain to form a ring. Chain 2. 1, 2. This chain 2 counts as a half double crochet. We're going to place 11 more half double crochets into the ring. 1, 2, and 3. Continue placing your 11 half double crochets into the ring. You can pause your video here, and I'll meet you there. Okay, we completed our 11 additional half double crochets, and if you include your chain 2 stitch, that counts as a half double crochet. That'll be 12 half double crochets. So we're going to slip stitch to join into the very top of the chain 2 space. So 1, 2, chain 2, slip stitch to join. And you can fasten off your work. Next, we are going to switch colors. And we're just going to insert our hook into any of the spaces between the half double crochets. Attach your yarn. Okay, I had to adjust my camera. I attach my new yarn in between the spaces of the half double crochet. And once your yarn is attached, chain 2, 1, 2. My chain 2 does not count as a stitch. We're going to place 3 double crochets into the very same space. We're going to form a petal. 1, 2, and 3. Once you have your 3, pull a long loop. We're going to insert our hook into the very first double crochet. So that's 3 stitches back. 1, 2, 3 into this stitch here. Insert your hook into the very first double crochet. Then put the working loop back onto your hook. And we're going to pull through. And that forms our very first petal. Chain 2, 1, 2. We're just going to repeat in the very next step. So place 3 double crochets into the very next space. 1, 2, and 3. Once again, pull your loop long. Insert your hook into the very first double crochet. That's 3 stitches back. 1, 2, 3, right here. Put the working loop back onto your hook and pull through. You formed a petal. Chain 2, 1, 2. I'll show you one more time. So place 3 double crochets into the very next space. 1, 2, and 3. Remove your hook. Insert your hook 3 stitches back. 1, 2, 3. Put the working loop back onto your hook and pull through to form your petal. Chain 2, 1, 2. Continue this pattern all the way around. You should have a total of 12 petals. You can pause the video here and I'll meet you at the completion of your 12 petals. Okay, we've made it back around and we have a total of 12 little petals. And don't forget your last chain 2, 1, 2, and we're just going to slip stitch the join into the very first double crochet. It's kind of hard to see because here's your chain and it connects to the very first double crochet right at the very top part of your chain, after your chain. So slip stitch the join, and you can fasten off your work. Okay, next we're going to add our third color, and we're going to make our circle look more square, like a granny square. To do that, we're going to insert our hook into any of the chain 2 spaces and attach your new yarn. After your yarn is attached, chain 2, 1, 2. Your chain 2 will count as a half double crochet. So we're going to place 2 more half double crochets into the very same space. 1, 2. Chain 1. Place 3 more half double crochets into the very same space. This is going to create our corner. 1, 2, and 3. In the next space, we're just going to place 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3. In the next space, 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And that's the sequence we're going to repeat. Corner, side, side, corner. So I'll show you the corner one more time. Place 3 half double crochets into the very next space. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1. This is your corner. 3 more half double crochets into the very same space. 1, 2, and 3, and that's your corner. We're going to repeat this all the way around, by doing 3 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets for the side, then your corner, 3 half double crochets, chain 1, 3 half double crochets, then once again 3 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets, and here's your corner. And we're going to repeat that all the way to the other side. I'll meet you there. Alright, we made it back around. We completed our granny square. And we're going to slip stitch the joint into the top of your chain 2 stitch. 1, 2. My chain 2 is kind of tight. And slip stitch. Fasten off your work. And I believe you'll need a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or make as many according to your size, so it will line up against the bottom of your cup. I'll show you exactly how to do that next. The total amount of granny squares should equal to the length of both cups side by side. Next, I'm going to show you how to combine the 2 granny squares together. First, I want you to flip your work to the reverse side. Well, whatever side you consider reverse, the less nice side. Insert your hook into the chain 1 part. That'll be the corner of your work. You're going to be working from chain 1 to chain 1 space. So insert your hook into the chain 1 space. And find your opposite piece. Make sure you're working on the reverse side. So the reverse sides will be looking like the insides are on the correct side is this side, is in between, and the wrong side is going to be on the outsides. Alright, connect your hook into the chain 1 space of the second granny square, and we are going to slip stitch to join. Just like that. And we're going to combine both sides of your stitches all the way until you make it to your other chain 1 spot. So let me see if I can zoom in. There we go. So go into the next stitch, front, back, and slip stitch. Front, back, and slip stitch. Continue placing slip stitches all the way until you make it into your chain 1 space. You can pause your video here, and I'll meet you when you complete all your slip stitches. Alright, we made it back to the chain 1 space, and we'll do that last one together. So insert your hook into the chain 1 space of the front, and your chain 1 space of the back, and slip stitch, and fasten off your work. Continue to do that with the rest of your pieces until you have one nice long panel. Next, we're going to place an evenly spaced row of single crochet across the bottom side of your cup. In order to do that, insert your hook into the very end of your work, the corner of your cup, chain 1, single crochet into the very same space, now let me see if I can turn, there we go, and continue placing evenly spaced single crochets all the way across. Okay, you can pause your video here, but continue placing evenly spaced single crochets all the way across until you make it to the other end. I'll meet you at the other side. We finished putting our evenly spaced single crochets alongside the bottom of our halter top. As you can see, they're nicely spaced. I have about 40 on this side and 40 on this side. If your number's more or less according to your size, that's okay. It won't skew the pattern at all. So from here you can fasten off your work. Cut your yarn. Okay, next we're going to add on the last strip panel of our halter top. Since our work is already on the wrong side facing up, make sure your panel's also facing the exact same direction. Right now you can either sew yours together or do a row of slip stitch to join all the way across. Either way you choose is fine, but also make sure your work is centered before you start to sew. So I'll give you a quick tip on how to do that. Since I have 7 little granny squares, my center is going to be in the center of my halter top. So let me zoom in. I'm going to find the center of my halter top. Stitch doesn't have to be perfect. Insert my hook and find the center of my top of my halter top. Insert the hook. And I'm going to put a stitch marker. So I know this is the center of my top and the center of the bottom of my top. So I have these together. Alright, let me put another little marker so I won't get lost. The end, that won't be too hard to find. End of my halter top and the corner of the cup. As you can see, what I'm doing is helping me line up my work before I even start to sew. And let's see, probably one about here. Insert my hook and place in my stitch marker. Now you can start sewing with the same color yarn or slip stitching to join all the way across. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you how I slip stitch to join. I rarely sew. I'm such a crocheter. I never put down my crochet hook, so I always prefer to slip stitch to join. I'm sure sewing might be even quicker. Zoom it in. Okay. Slip stitch. I just go into the front and the back stitch and do a slip stitch. Go into the front of my granny square, the back of my bra part of my halter, and slip stitch. Front, back, slip stitch. Alright, continue to connect your bottom panel to the top of your cups all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end. Like I said, be very careful. It's very easy to work out of alignment because your top stitches won't match your bottom stitches, but I already did my math to figure out how my slip stitches would work, so you'll have to do that part for yourself. Alright, I'll meet you at the completion of this row. Alright, I finished slip stitching across and I just fastened off my work. Like I said, you can either sew it or slip stitch, whatever you choose to do. Next, we are going to put on the straps to your halter top up top, and I'm going to teach you the lazy woman's halter top strap. In order to do that, I switched over into a 5mm crochet hook. Find the center half double crochet of your 3 half double crochet at the top of your cup. If you remember, we did that when we were making our cup to our halter. So the center is right about here. Insert your hook. Take your yarn, fold it over about 5 inches, like so. And pull through. With your working yarn and your tail, we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And we're going to drop the tail end. I want you to chain one more time and pull the chain extremely long. I'm not pulling my yarn, just my chain long for demonstration purposes, but make this loop extremely long. So we're going to be working with the loop and your working yarn to form 3 strands, and now you instantly have chunky yarn. Alright, take your hook and insert it back into that last chain stitch. Here's 1, 2, 3 right here. This will be your new working loop. Go ahead and chain about 30. And once you run out of your, once your loop gets too short, like so, just put your fingers through like you're doing a finger chain and pick up the working yarn and pull your loop long. And you're back to working with 3 strands of yarn. So continue doing your total of 30 stitches, and I'll meet you at the completion of your 30. So pause your video here. Okay, I did my chain of 30. Now I'm just going to drop the loop that I was working with and only chain with the singular strand of yarn. We're going to chain an additional 50. You'll notice I did that because the thick part is the part that'll hit around your neck that needs to be comfortable, and it will start to taper off naturally. This is the part that will be used to tie a bow with, so it doesn't really matter how thick this part is. I figured we don't need to waste any excess yarn. So continue to chain your additional 50. I'll meet you at the completion of your 50, and make sure you do a second strap for your other side also. Alright, we finished both chains of our straps for the top of our cup. And the last part, we're just going to put a strap and we're going to weave it in between the seam of our work. To do that, I just made a chain of 200. So you can go ahead and pause the video and make a chain of 200. And once your 200 is done, you'll just thread your work through a needle. And here's the super simple part. All we're just going to do is weave it in and out of our work. This will work like a drawstring for your top. So just like that, work the needle in and out of your work. It can be a little tedious, especially I crochet a little tight. Alright, I won't make you watch this all the way through, but continue weaving your needle and your drawstring strap all the way through your halter top to the other side. I'll meet you when you get there. Okay, now we're just going to place some pretty fringe alongside the bottom of your halter top. To do that, I cut about, I would say, 11 inches of yarn, strips of yarn. I take 2 of them, sorry it's kind of hard to see on camera, and fold it directly in half. Adding fringe is really easy. Once my work is folded in half, I get the bottom of my work. I'm putting about fringe in every other crochet stitch. So insert my hook into the stitch. Take your yarn, pull through. Now with your 4 remaining tail ends, yarn over, hook all 4 of them, and pull through. And your fringe is attached. I'll just show you one more time. You take your 11-inch strands of yarn, fold it directly in half. Like I said, I'm going every other crochet stitch. So this is my very last one. Insert your hook. Pull your loop through. And with all your 4 ends, your tail ends, yarn over and pull all the way through. Continue doing that all the way across the bottom of your top, and I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like all done. Great job, everybody. If you like this pattern, don't forget to check out my other crochet halter tops or even a set of barefoot sandals to match this. Alright guys, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you're always up to date with what's going on.